Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Novak again. Um, one thing I wanted to tell you is I'm using a brand new microphone, a Stellar X2 microphone. Now, this is my fourth microphone I've been using for my videos because I get people constantly complaining about the microphones and the way the sound is. I'm not buying any more microphones after this. This is a 48 volt microphone, and it's got to have a controller with it and everything else. So anyway, hope the sound quality comes out considerably better because this thing wasn't cheap. Anyhow, um, what this video is about. First of all, you're looking at the Betta fish tank. If you remember, for those of you who are brand new and just came to my channel for the first time, you will know that I have a couple videos on this. One video, this fish tank was set up with a sand, about 4 inches of sand. And if you remember, that was a big mess. It turned into a big algae den. No matter what I did, the algae kept coming back. That was a disaster. So I took it all apart. I literally made a plenum, slow-moving plenum, as you can see by the bubbles, and filled it with 100% kitty litter. I think it's called Kittens and Tails kitty litter here I bought in Florida. But anyway, once I did that, as you can see, it's a beautiful looking aquarium now. I like the way it looks, and that's all the fairy moss that is in there, which I did a video on different mosses and how to handle them and how much light will they need. And they could take quite a lot of light, but the duration of light is what you have to watch with mosses. Usually about 6-7 hours is good enough. But anyway, I really like the way this Betta container came out. It's absolutely beautiful. It's working like a champ. Ever since I got rid of the sand that I originally did it, which was I'm not going to mention any names, but there's another YouTube channel where they recommend doing that. It's called Deep Sand, and that was a disaster, complete disaster. I think the TDS read over 600, where the TDS on this aquarium is reading about anywhere between 160, 170 parts per million TDS, where the sand, for some reason, was reading over 600 TDS. Not that that means anything, but it was just something with the sand where the kitty litter is not doing it. And the kitty litter is just wonderful, as you can see by the pictures here. But anyhow, if you were watching my video, and as we know that thousands of years ago, Constantine made December 25th the winter solstice day. Actually, that was done by Constantine. On this day is the same day as we call Christmas. So anyhow, to everybody who's listening all over the world, since I talk to people from Norway, Thailand, United Kingdom, not only United States, Canada, please accept with no obligation, implied or implicit, my best wishes for the environmentally conscious, socially responsible, low stress, non-addictive, general neutral celebration of the winter solstice holiday. Practice within the most enjoyable traditions of the religion persuasion of your choice, or secular practice of your choice, with respect for the religion, secular persuasion, and or traditions of others, or their choice not to practice religion or secular traditions at all. I also wish you a fiscal successful, personally fulfilling, and medically uncomplicated recognition of the onset of the generally accepted calendar year of 2023. but not without due respect for the calendar of choice of other cultures whose contributions to society have helped make America great. Not to imply that America is necessarily greater than any other country, nor the only America in the Western Hemisphere. This wish is made without regard to race, creed, color, age, physical ability, religious faith, or sexual preference of the wishies. So I just want to say that. So hopefully I covered everything and will not offend anybody, since I am talking to people all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'm doing my best to make sure I get the best quality of videos out to the people who are listening. Okay, now for the video itself, the clay we use in our aquariums could be, doing more to water quality than what you think. Now, here's another thing from Mote researchers. Clay could kill red tide without damaging environment. Okay, this has been on the news, actually. For the past 2 years, researchers with Mote Marine, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and other organizations have been working to develop ways to fight red tide. On Friday, they may have witnessed the breakthrough they hope for. It involves clay being sprayed onto the water. In a canal near Mote Marine, they develop a technique called fluctuation. And this method has been used for decades in South Korea and China to fight algae blooms. So this is nothing new. It's being used in other countries where they're using clay. The slurry of clay and seawater is sprayed in areas where red tide is present, like the canals where researchers focused their efforts on Friday. Testing is done every hour to see if the red tide cell count diminishes. By site tests, it appears to be working. The clay project is one of the more than 25 in the works. Now, that's really something if you think about it. Here in Florida, we have red tide. Red tide is so bad, it winds up that it gets into the air and even makes people sick. A lot of places like on the West Coast, their home values have dropped because people don't want to move there because of the red tide. And therefore, their home values have went down. Now, of course, this is excellent to hear, that you're using something as simple as clay additive for to clean up water. Now, this is nothing new because they've been using clay for like koi and things like this, giving them a powder clay so they actually literally eat it. Goldfish the same way. And in fact, I think I've mentioned several times that myself and a chemist, we worked for the government. We had to find out a freshwater system was deteriorating, and we had to find out because the government made a boo-boo. That's as much as I can say. And we found out that they removed the clay that was in the freshwater system, and the freshwater system started deteriorating. So something as easy as clay from a little boo-boo that the government made, and that's about as much as I can say because we had to sign agreements and all that. Anything we found would be government property, and it would not be ours to broadcast any of our findings. And of course, myself and that's actually what started me on researching more and more clay, making the anoxic filtration system. And of course, this was in the 80s. This was when I started with the anoxic filtration system, started researching on it. So no matter what people say about clay, like you're looking at this Betta container, that's all clay. That's 100%, but it's baked. I understand if it's not baked, it's not going to hold up. But basically, as it's aging, it's looking pretty good. It's actually got darker. I know you can't tell from the what you're watching, okay, but it actually did get darker. So yeah, I remember kitty litter does darken up a little bit as it ages throughout time, and as the years go by, it will darken up a little bit, so it doesn't look like a just a plain gray substrate. Like I said, this is 100%. It's over, I'm going to say, at least 4 inches thick with a plenum. The Betta fish is doing great. As you can see, this is the flame moth. And on the left side and right side, if on the left side you look, you see a plant there, that's a crypt. And on the right side, there's a crypt. They're both recovering. Now, what happened is when I first made this with the sand, if anybody remembers, these crypts started like melting because of all the trouble I was having with the algae and stuff like that. And basically, they're recovering slowly, but they're recovering. Maybe if I had CO2, they would recover faster. But I think I'll give them time. I bet you within a year, those plants will have recovered, those 2 crypts that are on the left and right side of that little container. And for those of you who are new here, maybe watching this for the first time, I do have a video on how to do this. All this is a iced tea container, lemonade container that you can turn around and make iced tea out of it. It's really not meant for an aquarium, but I show people how to make a plenum. I think I bought a little Lee's Betta under gravel filter that just happened to fit inside of it. The hole's big enough on top. I explain how to do the whole thing, how to customize it, if you're interested. It's something different. It is not a project if you want to be practical and inexpensive. No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's basically for cosmetics and looks and novelty. I guess, I guess if you look at it, it basically looks like there's a wall of plants growing up the whole top, and all that is like I said, is the flame moss. And if you want to know more about mosses and how to keep them without them getting all messed up with algae, watch my last video, and I explain exactly how to keep mosses so they don't cause you big trouble. Just like this tank is just full of moss, and no problem. But I did want to tell you that I thought this was very interesting about the clay. It does work, apparently. I've had some updates on it, and yes, they said the clay is responding to the red algae bloom that seems to be causing a lot of problems. So once again, clay is being used as a water cleaner to do away with algae. Does this really sound familiar to anybody who's been listening to my channel about how the anoxic filtration system are using kitty litter, how it helps try to control algae? But anyway, I thought this was very interesting. And I do understand if you're probably watching it, it's Christmas Day, you're with your family and everything. Maybe you're watching it the day after if you're off of work. But in all honesty, I hope that everybody has a very prosperous new year. From my understanding, this is just from what I heard, next year, 2023, may not be a great year for people. I hear that there's supposed to be a lot of layoffs. Could even be market will go bad, and that's very sad. You don't wish that on anybody, even your worst enemy. You don't wish something like that. It's devastating when people lose their jobs, and I don't want to even talk about that because it's so devastating. But hopefully, because it is wintertime here in the United States, for some people it is not, who are in the southern hemisphere. it is the time of year when we start looking more at our aquariums, going to shops to buy tanks and everything else. And I'm going to try to get videos out to help you. In comments, it's been said that basically people thought my videos were nothing about anoxic filters and plenums, and they didn't know my videos were covered more than just that. And yes, I try to cover a lot of microbiology. And of course, I'm not like everybody else. I talk about a lot of different things, not only in my life, but hopefully you can relate to them with your life, your business. And in order to end this, I'm going to read you something that somebody wrote. And not he wrote, or they wrote, not exactly on topic. But I just wanted to say that since switching to Plenum and all my tanks, I've never had new plants melt so little or establish so quickly. I've been in the hobby since the 80s. Let's see. Afraid of plants until the late 90s. So apparently they were afraid to even have plants until 10 years later. I used to only keep cichlids and catfish, so they weren't really a great option anyway. When I decided to expand my horizon, I can't believe I was duped all this time into believing undergravel filters were bad for plants. Well, today we don't call them undergravel filters, we call them plenums. Just like we don't call dirt magnets anymore, we call them sponge filters. Anyhow, I even remember asking my old boss when I worked at an LFS how that could be when you'd think they suck all the nutrients in the water to the roots. But he insisted the plants hated having the water running past their roots. Ugh, I feel dumb never just trying it. That was the train of thought back then, and don't feel dumb if whoever is listening to this. That was common because if you remember, undergravel filters were used very quickly. In other words, they even went to the point of not even using high-powered pumps, but to the point of power heads on top of the uplift tubes. If you remember, that's where we screwed up. The old undergravel filters with the 3/8 uplift tube, 6 inches long, and you could count the bubbles. That's when things were at their precipice. After that, we just kind of messed up and thought faster was better to equal storage treatment facilities and all that muckety muck of undergravel filters bad. Oh, bad. Need to get rid of them. Neanderthal thinking is what happened. And until I started researching the undergravel filter and found out that if you just make them into a plenum, slow moving, they don't need to go fast. You just need to have water exchange, and they can do the nitrogen cycle along with denitrification as we know it using anoxic conditions. So anyway, that's it for this video. Short, sweet. And please let me know in the comments if this microphone's any better. I'm not buying any more. I spent enough money on microphones. If this one's a failure, then so be it. It's a failure, and that's the way it's going to be. But yeah, I spent too much money on microphones now that no matter what I do, it seems like the voice is not coming out right or something. But I am trying. It's not like I'm not trying. I am trying. So this is brand new, first time I'm using it. And this is, like I said, a Stellar X2. From what I can see on the internet, this microphone's supposed to be great. It sounded to me when the guy compared it to like 4 different microphones that this one sounded the most natural to me on YouTube. So that's the reason I got it. And I hope it's performing good enough for you. Please let me know in the comments, okay, below what you think. Hey, if it sucks, let me know. Hey, you just wasted your money. Okay, whatever, you know, but at least I'm trying. So anyhow, until next time, this is Dr. Nowak. Please subscribe to my channel, and happy fish keeping.